guys! So I'm going to talk about how you can find a teaching job here in Japan, specifically for non-native English speakers. So here are my advice and my first-hand experience on how I found a job, what website I used, what would be the procedures, and anything like that that's going to be important. So let's go! First, I'm going to talk about visa. So this is an important factor that you might want to consider. When you're already in Japan, I felt that it was way easier just because I already had a visa and a valid visa that would allow me to work. But if you don't, that means that you have to find a company that's going to sponsor your visa abroad. So let's say you're going to apply from the US, you would need to comply with the requirements that the government need for someone who's going to be teaching English here in Japan. And a major factor is that you need to have a degree. So there's no way around that, no way around getting a proper working visa in Japan if you don't have a university degree. I've never heard anyone who got a valid visa with just a diploma, so it's really important that you have a degree. If you don't, then it might be really tough for you. So that's one thing to consider to get a valid working visa. Secondly, I'm going to talk about the website that I use to find jobs. I'm going to link them down below. You would mostly see that on these jobs they would just explicitly indicate that they only want people from native English speaking countries. So these are the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and if you're not from those countries, then you're not a native English speaker. And I personally think that it is unfair for someone who lives outside this country and who are more than capable with experience to teach English. So, but this is the reality here in Japan. But if you are not a native English speaker, please don't lose hope. There are ways on how you can get a teaching job here in Japan. I myself, I'm not a native English speaker, and I got a teaching job here in Japan. So yeah, there are people who are non-native English speakers who have lived or who have studied in native English speaking country, and this might be a plus for you. Let's say you've studied your university in Australia, in the US. These are the kind of things that a recruiter will look at and would consider you for the teaching job. But there are tons of companies that hire non-native English speakers. I'm gonna list them down below as well, so you can try out to apply for those jobs. Now, for my real advice, I think that no matter how much information you search on the internet, I think it all boils down to your personality, how much you want to work here in Japan, because I think that if you want it, you can get it. There are of course challenges that you have to overcome before you get the teaching job in here, but if you have the perseverance and the patience, I think that you will be successful in finding that job, because I think it really takes time for you to get that job if you don't have a valid visa, just because a company would need to sponsor you as well. And you also have to think about that companies have recruiting cycles. So let's say you applied through this month, but then they had a hiring freeze. So that's something you might want to consider, and it might take a while for them to, even though you got the job, but then let's say they say that they would need this person, or they need this role to be starting on like a few months later. So that's something that you might want to consider. If you are planning to come here in Japan, please do so as early as you can. Don't waste time, because it might take a while for you. But those people who are already in Japan, then by all means go ahead and apply. There's going to be tons of job in there. And I just want to put it out there that also when you're applying for a teaching job here in Japan, you have to see that some companies have different stages for interviews. Some people, they have a phone screening at first, and then they would have a Skype interview, and they would have another Skype interview. So that's how time comes into place, that it might take a while for you to get a job. So yeah, so please do comment below, ask me any questions if you like. I'll be happy to answer all your questions, and I hope that I helped in a small way on how you can find a teaching job here in Japan. And yeah, bye!